Hey, there we go. Got a few people here. Hey, what's going on, Murat? Omar, how are you? Okay, just wait for a few more people to get on here, and then I'll start. How's it going, Anton? How are you? What's up, TFG? Yeah. Francis, hey, how are you, buddy? TJ, Shahal, nice, neat name. Yeah, so anyway, today I want to talk to you a little bit about a few things. One is, I don't know if he's going to tune in. There's this guy that was tagging me in posts on Facebook, and I messaged him. I said, please don't tag me in a post that's about somebody else's social media outlet, like Scooby or somebody else. And the reason why I said this to him was because it's not that I disagree with the post itself. The post is probably fine, but what happens sometimes when people tag me personally in different posts, but I don't agree with it, but I can't remove the tag and stuff, I don't want to really be associated with that stuff. So I've since corrected my tagging features on Facebook anyway, so I have to approve tags and stuff, but it wasn't because I was offended or anything. It's just that I sometimes like to know, like when I'm personally being tagged on Facebook, I like to know, or at least be in alignment with the post that I'm being tagged in, and with the option of removing myself. And sometimes you can't, so I just want to kind of keep that under control, especially seeing as my Facebook deals with both forms of my work, not just bodybuilding, but the other stuff that I do too. So that's why. So in case that guy's watching this right now, then at least here's an explanation to that. So I'm just going to look at a couple of comments here you guys are making here, just so I can kind of get up to date here. Okay, let me just, first troll of the day. Okay. So, all right, so Murphy 9238481, does strength equal muscle? Okay, no, I want to explain this because there's a guy I had a little bit of a debate with, I think his name is Drummer, my own drummer or something like that. Super nice guy and everything, but basically him and I got in a little bit of a debate on YouTube here because he's talking about strength and how it means nothing. And basically, all you're supposed to do is pulse the muscles, like flex the muscles, right? Just flex the muscles with a little bit of tension, and that will be enough to gain muscle. But the fact is that if that was enough, then just stick with 5-pound dumbbells and just you work the range of motion that is right for you, of course. Find that range and perfect that movement, and then you should be able to become a monster like that. But any natural bodybuilder will tell you that this is not going to happen. So what I think a lot of times guys are mixing up is strength means just getting the weight up by any means possible, like swinging the weight or finding that perfect groove. And so there's a happy medium here, okay? So what I'm trying to say is you need to gain strength in order to gain muscle, but yes, there is a way of making sure you hit certain muscles when you train, okay? So say you're hitting a certain muscle group, you're concentrating on the squeeze of the chest instead of just pushing straight up, but you're trying to establish a mind-muscle connection with that squeeze in the chest. Yeah, that is a type of way that you can actually make sure that the chest is being hit more than, say, the triceps or the front delt. So this is a valid technique, but at some point, no matter how much you're concentrating, perhaps the weight won't be challenging for you anymore. So say you can get 50, 60, 100 reps with that weight, and then at some point, you'll want to move forward, progressive overload. You'll want to increase the poundages you're using for the same amount of reps with the same type of technique. So strength is necessary, whether you're doing it in 50 rep range or 20 rep or 10 rep or 5 rep or 100 reps, the strength still needs to go up. You still need to gain some sort of, with the same technique, some sort of performance. Okay, you still need to enhance the performance. You still need to get better at that performance, right? So that is what causes the muscle to grow. So anytime you're doing anything with a muscle and you're hitting absolute failure, you're giving it a signal to say grow or lose some body fat. You're changing the body by forcing it with stimulus to hit the wall of the limits of its ability, right? The limits of its ability, you're forcing it to adapt. But one thing that I think some guys get mixed up with is that they think strength means getting better at a 1 rep max. Right? Now, anybody that's trained for any period of time will tell you that in the beginning, your strength goes up like this really fast. Well, the reason why is because a lot of strength in the beginning is just nothing more than coordination. right? So when you're gaining in coordination, your strength is going to go up, but that isn't going to relate immediately in muscular gains because all you're doing is getting more coordinated with the muscles you do have. Now, when you gain that coordination or you perfect the technique that you're using for whatever exercise you're doing, and now you rep out with that and hit failure, then you will gain muscle. That's how it works. But it's always about pushing the body. But it's not about glorified flexing. I mean, otherwise isometrics would be the only way to gain muscle. I could just do this and just gain muscle, right? It's not going to work. Perhaps it'll help a little bit in blood flow and, maybe there's some other benefits, but it's not going to be overall more effective in gaining muscle. So strength, yes, it is necessary. But strength with whatever technique you're doing. So if you're doing, I want to concentrate on my chest and do really slowly, right? And I'm only getting 10 reps with a certain weight. Well, guess what? I need to gain strength with that technique so I can get 11 reps or strength endurance with that same weight, same technique, and that will gain me muscle. That's how it works. Yeah, gain strength, but with good form. Of course, Murph, yeah. But sometimes you have to break your form in order to gain strength with good form, so sometimes you have to cheat a little bit, do cheat reps and stuff. And then from there, when you do strict form, then your form can be better, or you know what I'm saying? So you basically break your own barrier. Sometimes you overload certain parts of the movement. That's why you see guys doing partial reps or guys doing rack lifts. Sometimes they'll just put the bar to a certain weight or certain height, They'll put the bar, like say they're bench pressing. They'll set up the rack so it's just a partial from here, like only 2 inches, and they'll put massive amounts of weight on there and then just do partials and just rest it on the rack, partial, rest on the rack, partial. Because this helps you push through certain weak links in the exercise, certain weak areas or weak ranges of motion. That's why the slingshot also works too. Some guys use the slingshot so they can get really heavy at the bottom part, but at the top, it's not quite as much help. It's not giving you as much help. So it's almost like a little bit of a forced rep. So yeah, there's just different ways of tricking the body, the nervous system, and hitting different muscle fibers that aren't getting hit that hard during full movements, right? Because when you say you're going to do a full range movement, a lot of times the bottom or the mid is going to be where you hit failure first, but then there's this other part that doesn't even get to hit failure, where the muscles can still contract and still develop a lot of tensile strength. They can still really pull really hard. And if those areas aren't challenged, then there's some gains that you could be getting in those areas if those ranges of motion are also challenged, right? Josh Bryant, what do you think of CrossFit, good or bad? It depends what part of CrossFit you mean. Like, I'm not really built for Olympic lifts. Some of my injury history, like the dislocating shoulder from hockey and all this. But Olympic lifting is incredible for getting the body to all fire together with the lower back, the legs, and basically get that stabilizers working in the spine, get all those stabilizers working so you're pushing as a full unit. You're using all the muscles of the body to push at once with a coordinated effort. But there is an incredible amount of danger in that lift. Like I've seen a guy with the bar out like this and he was like right behind him and he was like lifting. And then if you hit failure, and a lot of times these guys do, they try to lift maximum weight and sometimes they hit failure regularly. And if you hit failure with stability, like instability basically, and with massive amounts of momentum and balance going on, that is a triple threat for injury. So, and let's talk about CrossFit. CrossFit a lot of times will do those types of movements along with cardio in between and stuff, and that's their competitions, do as many chin-ups you can, run a mile, and then do this. And I think it's actually stupid, to tell you the truth. I think it's a great sport to prove that you're in great shape, but at the same time, it's incredibly risky, and I think it offers more damage to a person than good in a lot of cases. I think they'll just grind their hips into dust and, cause all sorts of problems. So anyway, I mean, if you're on purpose just trying to beat the crap out of the joints, then that would be a great way to do it, I think. Jamie Bristow, am I a fake natty? No, I'm not. But thanks for the compliment, because you must think that I look good if you think that I'm possibly a fake natty, so. Lucas Simmons, he's having muscle gains, yet he doesn't gain strength as much as he used to. He's also getting more and more tired, and it's harder for him to recover from workouts. Is a good time to change a program. It might be a good time for rest, or a good time to look at your diet. Maybe your diet is insufficient. Maybe you're not eating enough. Maybe you're not sleeping enough. these are all factors, right? So it's not always the program that's the problem, and sometimes it's not always your workouts that's the problem. Sometimes it's just the other things that are going on in your life that might be the problem, right? So assuming that that's all stay the same, then basically I would look at whether you are, maybe you need to change the program, maybe you need to change the rep ranges around, maybe you need to look at also how you're measuring things, because a lot of times I've talked to people and they say, oh, my strength's going down. And then I'll ask them, well, why are you measuring your strength? Like, what's going on? Like, how are you measuring your strength? They're like, well, I ran a mile, and then I went to the bench press, and then I went down 3 reps in my bench. And I'm like, well, you ran a mile before the bench. When were you running the mile before? And before, they were running the mile after the workout. And then they're saying, oh, my strength automatically went down. So sometimes there are these other ways that you're measuring incorrectly. So assuming all of that is fine. Assuming that you are measuring correctly, and it's just like you're being measured by a scientist, and your strength is in fact going down, then I would just say that what part of strength is going on? Is it because you're feeling burned out, or is it because your coordination is off with your lifts? That's the other thing to measure, right? Because sometimes your strength hasn't gone down at all, but because you're not handling the heavier weights, your body doesn't have the perfect groove, right? Because if you're squatting 4 plates as opposed to 3 plates, your groove subtly changes because there's a bunch of counterbalancing going on. So that might be what's going on. It just might be out of practice. But if you're getting burned out, like you said, tired and everything, yeah, just take a day or 2 off. Maybe take a week off. Take some time and then get back into the program, and then you can start with a new program. This is another thing you can do. But I'm just saying sometimes it's good to think about things from many different angles, not just one angle, like assuming just automatically you're in overtraining syndrome, because sometimes the way you're measuring may be faulty as well, right? I remember sometimes I used to go into the gym, and I used to, hey, Nimble Navigator. I used to go to the gym, and one day I was squatting, and I was like, oh, my back hurts. Oh, I'm overtraining or something, right? There's something wrong with my back. Meanwhile, I wasn't thinking about what happened the day before, where I was wrestling with my buddy, and we're joking around, and I basically was, threw him down or whatever. And I twisted my back kind of funny, so one of my muscles was kind of cramped up or spasmed a bit from twisting kind of funny under a ballistic type movement. So this is something I had forgotten when I went to go do the squat workout, and then I was thinking, oh geez, did I bend over wrong the other day, or am I going too heavy in my lifts? Is this what's happening? Meanwhile, it was something totally different that was causing the problem. That's what I'm saying. So it's good to assess all that stuff, right? Yeah. Big Daddy Barbecue, is there a discount if you buy all of your 2 or 3 day splits? Have you considered doing so? Not really, because they're already at a discount. Big Daddy, my training programs are already discounted so much, so they're already pretty cheap. So I thought that was good enough, but I guess, there's always somebody who wants it cheaper, I guess. So, yeah, but yeah, I haven't thought about doing that. I don't think I will, to tell you the truth. Can you actually get a good looking body without using protein powder? Of course you can, yeah. Francesca, Hugh, you can get in the greatest shape of your life without protein powder. Protein powder isn't necessary. It's just another way or variation of protein that you can get in your diet, but it's by no means exclusive by any means. I mean, you could use protein shakes or not. It's not going to make a difference. But if the protein powder helps you, I'll say a help. I meant to say assist, but now I'm going to make up a new word. It's called a help. Okay, so if it helps you stick to your nutrition program, then whey protein's great. But that's really what it's doing. It's not because it's magical or something like that, right? Okay, Jamie Bristow, that's bullshit, man. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm gonna just, you're trolling a bit here, so. All right. Okay, let me just go up another one. Okay, free animals. Hi, Galent. For the last 4 months, I've been doing exclusively hack squat machine as a prime mover for quads. I felt this targets the quads much better than squats. Should I stick to them? Well, if they're working for you, why not? Stick to them. I never really liked hack squats because I found, because there's no bending over at all, that you're not activating the hamstrings, so the knee is in more of a dangerous position, and I find that hurts my knees, right? And it hurts a lot of people's knees that I know. But I know some guys that they swear by hack squat, they love it, doesn't bother their knees at all. The way they're built, it just seems to work fine. So if you're noticing that it works great, why not? Just stick to it. But there is something to be said for varying up your training program, because let's just put it this way, squats aren't just for quads, right? Squats are also for hamstrings. They're also for your adductors. They're also for your glutes. They're for a lot of different muscles. So you don't want to just be trying to isolate muscles all the time. Working many muscles all at once is a good idea as well. So compound movements, don't be afraid of those. A hack squat is a compound movement because you are using the knee and the hip, but at the same time, the squat, the actual bodyweight squat, or not bodyweight, but barbell squat, when you're doing the barbell squat, you are using a lot of other muscle groups which can create an anabolic response in the body, right? So don't steer away from those just because you find hack squats work your quads. I mean, now if you have lower back problems and everything like that, then by all means, yeah, don't bother with squats, but do one-legged squats or do other types of movements where there's stability as well, right? Okay. Hey, glad to be a loser. How are you? Josh Bryant, do I sell t-shirts and such? Yes, I do. I have, it's on my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. There's a merchandise section or workout clothing section or whatever. I can't remember what I called it, darn it. I can't remember what I called it, but yeah, there's a t-shirt section, so you can buy t-shirts there. Yeah. So you got, train the muscles, not the joints shirts, right? Okay, so Superhuman 991. I don't know if that's a Porsche reference. Well, hopefully it is. I like Porsches. Not that I'll ever be able to afford one, but I like them anyway. Do you think it's okay to work out your body parts every day, 7 days a week, as long as you like and want to improve those muscles? Of course, paying attention to volume and all that. I think at some point you will hit a place of diminishing return by training all the time. You will notice that there is a point to where there's enough training, and then there's a point to where there's too much training. So I do think you can overtrain. It is possible. I mean, overtraining is a real syndrome. So it's always going to be dictated by how much sleep you're getting and how much food you're eating. And it's also going to be dictated by how much stress you have in your life and your age, these types of things. But the point is that if you're training a body part every single day, if you're doing super heavy, fast twitch fibers will not heal from that as well. So if you're hitting failure especially, if you're not hitting failure, then it might be different. But if you're hitting failure in your lifts and you're really breaking down that muscle tissue, I think that at some point you will need to take a day or two off, right? At least that's what I found with myself, right? Okay. The nimble navigator, keep feeling pain in his right knee when he squats. He does ass to the grass. Why does it hurt when I'm doing good form? Well, because why do you think ass to the grass is good form, right? If anything, I'm going to talk about this. I mean, I've been touching my chest with the barbell bench lately, and I don't find it's a problem for me with touching my chest. That's different, different level of flexibility than ass to the grass squat. But what I'm going to say is that sometimes people do ass to the grass squat or they do low stuff like that because it's actually easier because you kind of rest on the joints at the bottom and you get a little bit of a break. Now, it's not easier to lift super heavy weight, but what I'm saying, it's easier as far as how much effort it requires to perform a set. I find that when I'm doing partial ranges with heavier weight, it's way harder in my overall system. The overall trauma that goes on in the body is much greater doing 4 plates for partial rep squats as opposed to doing ass to the grass with 225, right? I find it's a totally different experience. So the thing is with ass to the grass squats, some people do ass to the grass because tension is on the legs the whole time and they're built for it. They're not actually resting on the knees. They're not resting on the hips at the bottom. It's just that they're naturally built that way. They can do that. For them, I'd say ass to the grass squat's the right thing. But if you're noticing that you're resting on your knees, like your knees really come forward and you're almost like resting at that bottom, like that's when you dictate the bottom of the squat is where you rest. I'd say you're going down too low. And that will cause a lot of knee problems and a lot of hip problems at some point. So why does it hurt? Most likely it's because it's too extreme a range of motion for you. The other thing though is sometimes it's just quadricep trigger points, like your medialis by the knee. You might have some trigger points or some muscle spasms in there that need to be taken care of. You may have some hamstring things going on. That's a possibility. But what I'm saying is that those things are only a possibility assuming that ass to the grass is the right thing for you, right? So why are you squatting ass to the grass? Why are you doing that? Is it where you were feeling the majority of the tension in the belly of the muscle? Like, where are you feeling the tension? That's the most important thing to consider, right? If you're feeling the tension right by the knees and right in the insertion point of the hamstring, right in the hip bone, I'd say you're going too extreme in your range of motion. So you have to kind of make an assessment based on what your experience is. The nimble navigator, should I at least break parallel? Not necessarily. I don't. I never did my whole life. So should, I don't know what you mean by should, but look at what I'm doing. Are you saying that my legs are underdeveloped? You know, I never broke parallel my whole life. I did it for a period of a year, okay, just because I wanted to see what this hubbub was about going more extreme in my range of motion. And I did, and what I found was that I got nothing but knee pain from it. I didn't get any more leg development from it. I got a bigger ass, but I didn't get more leg development from it, right? Yeah. Okay, Francesque Q is asking, is it important to give at least 1 day rest to a specific body part of the body after training? I read somewhere that that way muscles grow faster and bigger. Is it okay? I think you should give at least 1 or 2 days a week to each muscle group a break. I mean, training them every day, you can overdo it. I mean, like I just talked about, you can just overdo it. So you need to give the body time to recover as well. Now, depending on what type of rep range you're doing and what type of exercise you're doing will depend on what recovery is needed, okay? I talked to a guy the other day in the gym, and he runs a YouTube channel which is to do with driving cars and stuff, right? But anyway, he said he did a 600-pound deadlift, and the type of trauma he experienced in the body is like his body shut down for 4 or 5 days. It's not that his joints were hurting, but it's just his entire central nervous system and the recovery required for that type of lift just totally, absolutely exhausted him. So he needed to take a few days off. But if somebody's just doing bicep curls, you know, obviously less trauma on the system, less rest is needed, right? So you have to make decisions based on that. But as a general rule, I think taking a day off every second day for a body part is not a bad idea. Say you're training a body part or body in a 2-day split type of format, right? That's not the only type of split, but I'd say minimally as a regular type of occurrence, I think a 2-day split is, I would say it's about the minimum requirement for rest. You want to basically give the body parts 1 day rest. Now, sometimes I've trained the whole body several days in a row, but then I will follow up with a day of rest or a day where I don't train the major muscle groups and then just train a couple small muscle groups like the biceps or triceps or something, and then I'll go back into the chest back leg workout or something. So yeah, I do believe every second day is a good policy for a day off for any muscle group, really. Robert Brennan, cardio and stretches. Yeah, cardio and stretches is good, but you're not going to be able to stretch out the ligaments, you know what I'm saying? And you don't really want to stretch the ligaments out. So there's a flexibility problem when it comes down to what, like the muscles are causing a flexibility problem. But I find a lot of times people think that the muscles are the problem, but they're not always the problem. Sometimes it's actually the joint itself, right? So the more they stretch, the tighter they get. They keep stretching, and basically what they're doing is stretching the joint out, and then the joint starts to get loose, and then the muscle starts to spasm, and then they have this constant cycle of tightness, and they're wondering why. Well, it's because the muscle is trying to compensate for a loose joint because you've overstretched the crap out of the joint. So stretching is not really going to fix that. Not stretching the muscle, it's not going to. So you want to basically make sure that when you're training, you're lifting with a biomechanically advantageous form for your body. Free animals, is it possible to have a diet that can virtually create zero gastrointestinal gas? I don't know if I'm the guy to talk to about that. I don't know if that's possible. I think that there are certain natural things that happen in the body, and it's a part of digestion. Now, it can be extreme, but burping and all this kind of stuff, it's all gas, right? It's all ways that the body deals with the gas that comes out of digestion. So, I don't know, people demonify a lot of the natural processes of the body and say, oh, that shouldn't happen, this shouldn't happen, I shouldn't poop, all this kind of stuff, but I don't think you're ever going to find a solution to that. That's just natural, right? It's just the natural way the body works. Okay, Superhuman 991 is asking, what do I think is the minimum amount of volume sets reps each session to produce the muscle growth stimulation, and what is the best volume range to be in? Okay, so this is a hard question to answer because I've seen so many people respond differently to different things. I've seen some guys, train 2.5 hours every single day and get massive results from it. And then I've seen other guys overtrain like crazy when they started to do that. So I can't tell you that there is the ideal range for everyone. There really isn't. I think that there is only opening your awareness up to your body and what it's telling you, and for you to know what the parameters are to increase your ability to train, such as eating right and sleeping and this sort of thing, eating enough protein. But at the same time, there is not one answer for everyone. I really, really feel that, because for myself, I find the minimal that I need if I'm going to train a body part every 2 days or something like that is about 5 to 6 sets to stimulate growth. And if I don't have 5 or 6 sets, it's not quite enough. Now, if you talk to some people in the HIIT training system, they'll say all you got to do is train a body part once every 2 weeks. If you hit the body part hard enough, right, with one massively extended set, then they say you shouldn't have to work it for another week or two. But I've never found that to be true for myself. But some people seem to get results that way. So you know what I mean? It's really impossible for me to say that. So I think 5 or 6 sets is really the sweet spot for the least amount of volume you need for growth. But that's my experience. And that's based on me training the body part every 2 days or so. But if I was training the body part every 3 days, then my volume would be higher. So there's a lot of variables, a lot of parameters that are important to consider when you're talking about how much volume is needed. If you're only training the body part once a year, how much volume would be needed? You know what I mean? It just would be different. So, yeah. So I think it's a combination. It's kind of like it's like a mathematical equation. You need to incorporate the volume, the rest, the day splits and all this kind of stuff all in there. GTHA, warm-up. Should you go right into lifting, or is a warm-up necessary? A warm-up is necessary. There's some stupid people talking about no warm-up is necessary, but the thing is, adrenaline in nature was created for a reason. Okay, adrenaline is nature's warm-up. The fight or flight response. When you get a fight or flight response that pumps blood through the system entirely and it warms it up, so that way you're not pulling and tweaking muscles right away when you're trying to run away from a predator. So in that fashion, a warm-up is necessary, because if the body doesn't have blood flow in the area, if it's not warmed up, there's no blood there, and there's something brittle or cold, something will tear, something will pull. It's just it happens. It happens to people all the time. And I have tried not warming up and tried working out without a warm-up and with a warm-up. And there's many different types of warm-ups, so that's another thing to consider. But the bottom line is, should I just step under the rack at 4 plates or 5 plates at a squat and just start giving her without warming up? That's actually stupid. And I think there are some people that are so disassociated from their body that they can't tell the difference when damage is being done or not. And they're the same type of people that one day you have to saw their leg off because they don't really know something's wrong with it. It's rotten or something. They can't feel it. So there's these people that are so disassociated from their body. There's some people that have that mental illness where they're so disassociated they can't really tell what's going on. And this can get quite extreme. But what I'm trying to say to you is that when you jump under the rack, wouldn't you want to know whether your disc is feeling slightly off or not? Or wouldn't you want to know whether your knee is feeling a little bit off or not? Wouldn't you want to know whether the body is performing fine, and then work your way up into the heavier weight where now mistakes cause greater injuries, right? So you want to make sure that, say you put a race car on the track, you'd want to make sure that the tires are actually aligned. You want to make sure that the tires are actually on the car, You want to make sure that there's actually oil in the car first before you start racing it at 200 miles an hour around the track. So a warm-up lap, or just checking the car over and going slowly for a period of time, gives you some warning signs to see if everything's running right before you challenge it, right? Because if you challenge that car when it's not ready, what's going to happen? The engine's going to blow. Well, it's the same thing with your own body. You want to challenge it in steps. And as you do this, the graduated steps, what happens is that you can get an understanding or a feeling of what's running right and what's not running right, and then you can avoid possible injuries, right? Okay, Gherkin Saft, you're only 14 years old, so there's no reason to really be talking about your one shoulder's bigger than the other or whatever. Don't worry about it. You're still growing. I mean, 1 foot is bigger than the other right now. I guarantee you, if you measure, one of your feet is bigger than the other. And it's kind of normal. It's normal to have one side that's a little bit bigger than the other. And as you grow and mature, your body's still growing. Things will start to balance out a bit more. But there's always going to be slight imbalances in the body. It's just made like that. It's kind of normal. And if you're right-handed or left-handed, it'll depend on what muscles you use or how much you use your arm. You might use this arm all the time, and then this arm gets more developed. Or sometimes, the funny thing is, a right-handed person might have a bigger left arm because their right hand is more coordinated with movements, and then when their left arm goes to do things, or the left hand, it's not as coordinated, but it starts to access certain muscles in a different way, and sometimes it makes it more challenging and they gain more muscles. So it's kind of weird. I've noticed this kind of phenomenon, so don't worry about it too much, right? GTAJ, how do I stop using internal rotation during workouts? It's causing shoulder pain. Okay, well, don't rotate internally then. When you're just stop here when you're doing a lat pull down, right? You don't have to arm wrestle the weight down. Don't concentrate on how far the bar comes. Concentrate on where the shoulders are sitting when you do a pull down, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a decision. It's really a decision, right? Superhuman 991, do I coach or have other top athletes, bodybuilders that apply your approach in terms of shorter ranges? And all that, since it's pretty against the normal crowd. Well, it's not really against the normal crowd, Superhuman. If you look at any of the top pros, any of the guys that are mastering, like, you know, the Mr. Olympian stuff, they all do what I do. All of them do it. Or they all do concentrated ranges of motion to hit certain muscle groups. And they are always training the exact way I train. It's only the beginners that don't train like I do. It's a lot of the beginners, they don't understand what it is I'm doing. They don't have an idea of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to challenge certain ranges of motion to hit certain muscle groups, right? To make sure that they hit failure. And I notice also when I lock out or when I'm out here, see, the muscles are under a more relaxed state because now you're resting on the joint at the top. And that's when all the joints and stuff, the tension is off the joints, meaning that the tension from the muscles is gone, so then the joints aren't locked in tight. You know what I'm saying? And I want to keep the joints locked in tight whenever I'm giving effort in an exercise. And that not only protects the joints more, but it also helps keep that tension on the muscle and helps it hit failure at a faster rate, therefore upping the intensity and getting more growth, right? Brian McKenzie, did my dad ever compete in powerlifting meets? Yeah, he was 8th strongest in the world in his weight class in powerlifting. I believe he could deadlift about 600 pounds at 165, 170 pound body weight. 168, I think. Yeah. Garen Keshishian is asking, is working out 6 days too much for a natural bodybuilder? If it is, then I guess I shouldn't have worked out 6 days a week, but that's what I did most of my life, worked out 6 days a week. It worked fine for me. It all depends on how you work out. It depends on whether you listen to your body or not. If you are working out and you're doing 5 reps all the time and you notice that your joints are killing you and that you're always overtrained and your body's just feeling like it's just broken into pieces, but then you're too stubborn to say, oh, maybe I should do 12 or 15 reps or 20 reps today. Maybe I should do a different movement rather than just doing bench press all the time. Maybe I should do maybe some flies or something with it. You know, if you're not stubborn and you change these things up and respond to what's happening, then 6 days a week is not too much because you can hit different angles and make sure that you're paying attention to the body the whole time. But yeah, if you're trying to do the same thing 6 days a week, then you will get overtrained for sure, especially if you go too heavy. Ricardo Morsa, hey there, Jason. Interested in knowing a bit about joint recovery. I've hurt myself in the past doing weights, and I'd like to know if full recovery is possible. Of course it is. Depends what type of hurt, but yeah, of course it's possible, yeah. Superhuman 991, do I have to know a lot about anatomy to figure out what the best ranges of motion are? No, you don't need to know all the internal workings of your eye in order to see. Okay, so it's the same with your body. Like I can feel my fingers. I can feel it's a feeling thing. It isn't about mental understanding through textbooks and stuff. When you do a range of motion, you can feel exactly where the tension is. Get tension awareness. That's important. Grow your tension awareness. Understand where is the tension going. That's where people are blind right now. That's where people are a little bit stupid. I find a lot of people have no clue about what's happening in their body. and you put tension on a joint or they do an exercise, they don't know where the tension is. You give them a bench press exercise, they're like, oh, is this training my legs? Like, they have no idea. This is the problem. So by becoming more meditative when you are training, focus on your awareness, focus on what is happening, where is this tension going? And you will be aware of when that tension starts to transfer from the muscle more to the joint. And that's really important. Once you grow in that awareness, then you'll be able to find the right range of motion for you. Happy pants, do I wear belts? Nope, only to hold up my pants, but I don't wear belts in the gym. Crocodile, what's my opinion about bro science? Assuming you're talking about bro science, meaning that guys in the gym just have certain experiences and then they share them, I would say bro science would be real science. If you have an experiment that goes on and you make a discovery about it, that's real science to me. Some people say, no, it's not the scientific method, all this. But the bottom line is that if I taste chocolate and I have a certain taste and I'm like, oh, this tastes like this, that's my experience. And by understanding how my experience relates to my body and what happens with that experience and stuff, then I start to basically be able to make decisions, right? But a lot of times people will push away experience and say, no, I'll read a textbook instead. But your experience means something. I mean, I don't need to read a textbook to understand that if somebody hits me with an axe that it hurts. It's like you have certain experience in your life, and then you make relationships about that experience, and then you can also make leaps of faith. Like, say somebody hits me with a baseball bat, I know what that feels like, and then I can imagine what an axe would feel like, and then I could make some certain rules about my life, about what I want and don't want based on those experiences, right? But it all begins with experience, right? Now, Josh Bryant's talking about bro science, the YouTuber, Dom. Now, that guy's hilarious. I love that guy. He's so funny. Yeah, he's pretty good. Okay, so Frances Q, I have got my knee ACL torn. I am not sure about surgery. Kind of scared, makes things worse, but I also want to be healthy again and play football. Do you have any suggestions? Well, Francesca, if you want to play football, I don't know if avoiding another knee injury is going to be possible because football is so brutal on the body. But if your ACL is totally torn, I would recommend getting it repaired, especially if you're at a younger age. Why not? I mean, if you can get it reattached, I think it would be a good idea, because otherwise you're never going to be able to make up the difference with that knee. It's always going to be unstable. It's never, no matter how much you strengthen up the muscles, the lateral movements and stuff, it might be really tight. It'll be really tough. Okay, so I'm trying to find the right words here, but I know guys that played hockey and stuff that tore ACLs and things, and the knee would always be popping out of place and everything, and it was just kind of horrible. And the pain that these guys experienced was amazing too. So I would recommend it, especially if you want to play football again. I think that it would be a good idea. GTAJ, he has pain in his neck, through his wrist, through his shoulder and bicep. What could this be? Well, you could have a pinched nerve of some sort, or disc or something going on. Something in your neck might be impinging on one of the nerves, or there might be some sort of disc thing going on there. I don't know. You have to go to a doctor about that. But yeah, it's definitely possible you have something out of place. Minimally, there's probably something out of place, or some muscle knot that's causing some sort of issue in there, right? So I'd get that checked out by a medical professional of some sort, yeah. Robert Brennan, you're talking to a guy named Phil, so I don't know who that is, but SW Plex, how do you get fat away from your chest? Well, you just lose body fat, period. You can't just lose body fat in one area, SW Plex, you have to lose it everywhere, right? It's kind of like taking a drop from a glass of water just from one area. You can't, you have to take it from everywhere. So say I have water here, I try to take one drop from this side, from this side, I can't. One drop and then the overall glass of water goes down. That's the same way with your body fat level. Okay, Happy Pants, reasoning behind no belt. I don't like using a belt because I felt dependent on the belt. And when you activate the core, you actually suck the stomach in, but when you wear a belt, you actually push the stomach out. So it teaches you incorrect way of activating the core. So I don't really like that. So some people say, Jason, why do you train abs or not? I don't train abs, but I probably don't need to because I don't wear a belt. So I'm stabilizing that spine at the same time as I'm doing the major compound lifts. So I have found that it never made my lower back grow or my waistline grow or whatever. If anything, it helped tighten it up. But if you're going to do this and not wear a belt and you're used to wearing a belt, really go light at first until your body is used to it and your body and the back has actually gotten used to firing the right muscles, and you're able to keep that that slight arch in the back and everything. Just make sure you're doing it right, because if you're not doing it right, then you will pull your back out. But I noticed that I used to get injured wearing a belt more often than without a belt. That's the funny thing. So I started to say, well, shit, I guess a belt's not really that effective. So I stopped using it. Mark Albaran, I heard that getting leaner will make you look bigger. Whatever, okay. Crocodile, is belt not for spine? Well, supposedly, because it basically is supposed to help stabilize or splint that area, kind of like a cast, when you have a broken bone. But I find that the best way to splint the spine is to increase the muscle strength in that area. And then when you wear a belt, see what happens with the strongmen and stuff, they wear a belt. The reason why they wear a belt is because they're going for maximal lifts, and they're trying to go deep into failure, and they're not stopping the set before their lower back hits failure, right? So they're going as far and deep into failure as they want. So basically, because of this, the spine won't be able to stabilize properly, and then when the spine can't stabilize, that's when you'll get a back injury. So that's where the belt comes in, right? But if you're aware enough not to push so deep into failure, and you're paying attention to your spine, paying attention to your back, paying attention of whether it's maintaining the right form or not, then you can stop the set long before that happens, right? Also, if you're going to be doing like 1 or 2 rep sets or 5 rep sets with compound lifts, then I'd recommend wearing a belt at that point, because then the danger level is so high, because 1 minute you're not hitting failure in the lower back, and then the next instant you're hitting failure in the lower back, and then you can have a lower back injury, and that's when a belt is necessary for sure. Okay, opulence luxury. Do knee sleeves prevent injury during squats? I don't think so. I just think that knee sleeves, I think knees, okay, if I take a knife and I cut myself, then I need a Band-Aid. That's really the point. But do Band-Aids prevent cuts? No. So I think honestly the range of motion, which going ass to the grass of squats or really deep and stuff like that, the reason why people feel the need to wear knee sleeves is because I think they are doing damage to their knees in some cases, because not everybody is built to lift the same way, right? But in certain sports, you have to lift a certain way in order to be measured as sufficient, okay? You need to hit ass to the grass or go parallel in the squat or something like that. But what if you're not built for this and you still have to go parallel? Well, then your knees might be hurting a lot, and you want to have that stabilized sort of knee sleeve around your knee to help give you a bounce out of the bottom, right? So it's taking up some of the pressure that the actual quadricep would take, as well as the ligaments and tendons in the knee, okay? So that's why they wear knee sleeves. It's because they're really doing the incorrect form, right? See, these other sports are about correct form for the sport, but not necessarily correct form for longevity, okay? So when I mean incorrect form, I'm talking about incorrect form for longevity of the body. That's what I'm speaking about. Of course, a lot of these guys are professionals. They know how to do correct form, but are they doing correct form for the longevity of their body? And even they would probably say, maybe not, because their first priority is the sport itself. So you have to decide, why are you training? Are you training to impress somebody to get a trophy? Or are you training so that you can look better and be able to do this for the rest of your life? There's a different priority in this. And I think too many people have this idea that ass to the grass or extended ranges of motion is the best range of motion for all purposes, and I would say no. The nimble navigator, your shoulders look big. What exercise do you do to get that hypertrophy? I do shoulder presses. I like shoulder presses, lateral raises, bent over lateral raises. Nimble navigator, do you watch any of my workout vlogs? I've got a lot of workout vlogs on there, so I don't know if you watch them, but I show the exercises in there actually. Okay, let me just scroll here. I'm just going to see here. There's somebody I've been missing because I've been. Okay, so Andreas G is saying, how much hours should you sleep in order to help your body recover? Again, this is going to be a personal thing for each person, but I'd say 8 hours a night. For sure, 8 hours. I sleep more than that, but I think some people need 8 hours, but there are pro bodybuilders. Like Kevin Levrone, I think, and you guys can correct me, you can probably find this online somewhere, but he used to sleep like 9 or 10 hours a night and take an hour or two nap during the day. So sometimes when your body is in a highly athletic mode, let's put it that way, you know, if you're an elite athlete where you're constantly causing damage to the body and you need to recover a lot, you may need a lot more sleep than is what is normal for most people. So that's another reason why sometimes it's hard to be a professional athlete at the same time as hold down a job and house and, you know, do all the things that normal people do, because your body is in full-time recovery mode, right? Kashaku Wisman, I'm on an iPhone right now, so if you're on a MacBook Pro, sometimes you got to put in earphones. Sometimes it's better for the volume. I try to actually increase my volume quite a bit on my normal videos, but on these live chats, I can't do anything about this to increase the volume, so sorry about that if you're having trouble hearing. Basement gains. Hey Jason, do I do pause work on bench or squat? So basically, do I pause at the bottom? I'm assuming that's what you're asking. I do that when I'm warming up with squat, because I find that being at the bottom and just holding it isometrically there for a bit helps get all the muscles aligned properly so that they're ready for that range of motion. And I do that during my warm up sometimes with bench press, like just a plate aside or whatever. I'll just rest it on my chest and then come up, and then, or with 225 sometimes I'll do that. But once I get into heavier weight, I don't do too much pause stuff, because I want to push the muscle as deep into failure as I can, and by pausing, sometimes other muscles get hit failure, you know what I'm saying? Because you're sometimes pausing that bottom, and say, for instance, I want the tension to be on my chest, and then when I'm pausing the bottom, then I find that my delt starts to hit failure faster, so it just depends on what I want to hit failure in that moment, right? GTAJ, do I ever use weight vests? No, I never have. Okay, cool. Okay, so some of you guys are talking about posture and everything. I could talk to you about natural bodybuilding, but once you get into specifics of posture and stuff, then it's sometimes about strength imbalances. Sometimes it's about the way you're built genetically. Like I know some guys, their spine is naturally rounded over and stuff, and there's nothing they can do about that. Sometimes it's a muscle imbalance, but sometimes it's just the natural curvature of the spine, birth defects, and you know, that kind of thing. So it just depends. But yeah, I mean, depending on what your posture is doing, will depend on what exercise you can do in order to help tighten up those areas, right? So if you got too much tightness in the front, you know, in the chest, then you do a lot of external rotation exercises, a lot of standing shoulder press above the head, you know, so it helps move those upper back muscles. It helps actually get those upper back muscles start to strengthen up, so it pulls the shoulders back, right? Yeah. Robert Brennan, do I have an example of a biomechanically wrong way to perform a lift for the joints? Okay, so one obvious example would be like, say you're doing preacher curls, right? So everybody knows the preacher. It's like preacher curls like this, right? Like this. Well, locking their arms out of the bottom, that would be a problem for a preacher curl, for sure. Because under a lot of weight, then the elbow starts to take the stress, and then you're basically getting all the pressure in here and not here. So you want the pressure more to be in here. So if you stop slightly at the bottom or even a little bit up, that's fine, because avoiding injury is the first priority. Second priority is stretching the muscle. Now you want to stretch the muscle, but like I said, if you stretch too much, then you end up stretching the joints or the tendons, and that will cause a tear, right? So that's an easy way of basically saying that would be a biomechanically wrong way. Now, depending on how you're built will depend on what's wrong. I've seen guys with shoulder presses, they come to here, and then sometimes other guys will come right down here, and they'll rest the bar right on their shoulders and then come up. Now, depending on what you notice happening in your body, the days after you do shoulder presses like that will also dictate what is right for you or not. If you start noticing that your shoulders start to flare up, like there's actual pain, like almost arthritis pain and everything in there, and you're coming down, touching the bar right to your chest and then coming straight up again, I would say for sure that's a biomechanically wrong way of you doing shoulder press, because your body's telling you what the right way and the wrong way is based on the pain it's showing you. And if you're having chronic inflammation, which is a different type of pain than muscle soreness, then that would be a sign, right? Josh Bryan, how do you loosen your upper back and traps? Get massage therapy. That's the best way to do it. Massage therapy, foam rollers on the back and everything can work because it's a form of massage therapy, but I think massage therapy would be the best thing there, Josh. Okay, another troll alert. Okay, I'm almost done here, guys. Hey, bad screen name, how are you? Hey, Crimestein. GTAJ, how to fix an uneven scapula. Get some massage therapy first, and then from there start working with different light movements, like just pulling and rotator cuff stuff, and start working on doing back exercises, but light, and maybe isometrics, holding and stuff, and just trying to keep the shoulders even. Try to keep the shoulders even at the same time, right? So that would probably be a way of doing it. So ultimately, make sure the muscle knots aren't causing the problem, and then from there you can start working your way in with rehabilitation type exercises. Now, rehabilitation exercises, it's important to know that when you're doing rehab exercises, it's not about how much weight can you lift, it's about how much weight you can control. So you want to be able to control the weight and be able to go through the range of motion without the bigger muscles taking over. So when you're trying to activate those smaller muscles, you don't want to overburden the range of motion with too much tension, because then your strengths will take over, right? The strong guys want to take over the fight instead of the weaker ones. And the whole point of rehabilitation is to strengthen up those weaker points, right? Crimestein, he's having trouble with 15 reps on the squats. Is it okay if you only got 10 to 13? I would say you need to lighten the weight then, Crimestein. You need to lighten the weight because that's the program. So that's basically it. I mean, most people aren't used to doing higher reps, but I change the reps around. So it's each program has its own rep ranges for certain reasons. So you have to kind of play around with that. But yeah, you got to break your thinking too, because some guys want to handle a certain weight. They want to get the 10 to 13 because they want a certain weight. But I'm saying, no, go down enough so that you can actually get that 15 reps, right? There's a reason for this. So just do it and see what happens, right? And if you guys are interested in programs, I have some weight training programs on my website. Opulence Luxury, do I meditate? Yes, I do. How much protein per pound of body weight should I have daily? About a gram of lean protein per lean pound of body weight, right? So you're a 200-pound guy at 20% body fat, that's 160 grams of protein a day. Okay. All right. You guys see any good movies lately or what? Let's talk about something fun for a second. You guys see any movies lately? There's some movies out right now. I haven't seen a movie for a bit. Fist Fight? Is that one? Pumping Iron? Okay. Sheer with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro? Alien. Is that good? Is that the old one or is the new one coming out, Josh? Is that because there's Generation Iron 2? Okay. I haven't seen that one yet. Hey, French bastard, how are you? So Alien is good, okay. So I didn't know if Alien was going to be good because it seemed like it was one of those over-the-top, just like bunch of action and just a premise of the old movie. I thought maybe they were going to kind of drop the ball on that whole Aliens thing. But yeah, if Alien was good, I got to see that. I'm going to have to see that movie. Poor Mark Albrand, that's funny. So anyway, Fast and Furiouser, okay. Heat, okay, I don't know what that one. Eagles Dare, Jason and the Argonauts. Okay, so now you're seeing Opulence Luxury. That's an old school one, Jason and the Argonauts. That's an old school movie. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go see that Alien one then. Okay, yeah, I was kind of curious. Last movie you saw was Logan. Gary Duarte. Yeah, Logan was actually pretty good, but it was almost like a horror film, I found. I guess it was in true Wolverine fashion. Logan was pretty good, but it's almost like a horror film. It wasn't necessarily as lighthearted as I would have thought it was going to be, but it was good, yeah. I haven't seen the new King Arthur there, Opulence, no. Wow, French Bastard, Alien Covenant is excellent, you said. It rivals the old Aliens movies, probably the best, I would say. Wow, okay. That's crazy. So you actually like the characters in there too. There's some cool characters and stuff. It's not just a bunch of action. That's great. Superhuman's asking me what bodybuilders I follow. I don't really follow any bodybuilders, to tell you the truth. I don't. Yeah, I don't really. No. I watch Mountain Monsters on YouTube. I like Mountain Monsters. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. Mountain Monsters is great. I love that show. Part true, part fake, but pure entertainment. 100%. Love that. It's just a really good show. So check that out. If you guys haven't seen Mountain Monsters, seriously, check that out. It's really good. There's this one guy, Wild Will. He has a YouTube channel, Wild Will it's called. And he has all the episodes of Mountain Monsters on there. It's pretty good. Stranger Things on Netflix was awesome. I can't wait till season 2 comes out for that. Trailer Park Boys, yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. All right, right on. Okay, well now I got my idea for a movie then. Brokeback Mountain, yeah, Mark. That's funny. Fist Fight is the funniest movie in a while. Okay, Fist Fight. Okay, well, so that's out in the theaters now too there, Noah? Fist Fight? I'm gonna have to look at Fist Fight then, if that's funny. I'm gonna have to take a look. Yeah. That's a problem. Living out here in this town is amazing. I don't know if you guys saw the video I posted last night. I posted a video last night. I don't know how many guys saw it. But yeah, this town's amazing. It's really nice. Lots of different footage I can get on the beach and everything, and the parks and stuff. So we'll see what type of movies I come up with. I'd love to be able to make a short film one of these days. Yeah. Do I have a theater? Not in this town. There's not a theater in this town, but there's a theater in Chilliwack there. There's a theater, so 25 minutes away from my house. Okay, Bad Screen Name is saying, on shoulder presses, do your arms go lower than 90 degrees or 90 should be good for shoulders? I go about here. So you see this? I go about here. Now, this might be a little bit different for you. Might be here, might be here. You know, it just depends. But I go about here. This is about right. The bar's even with my mouth, you know? And, but see, this would be 90 degrees. See, this is arm 90 degrees. Even with dumbbells, I come to here, right? I come to here with the dumbbells. That's where I feel the most, right? But you have to go on your feel with this. But yeah, I'd say a little bit lower than 90 degrees would be good, usually. What's the best bodybuilding movie? I think the best bodybuilding movie ever would be, it'd have to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger was the best bodybuilder in film as far as the way he showed his physique. Like Predator. Predator was like one of the best ones with his arms, just the way Arnold Schwarzenegger looked in that film. I think that was one of the best films ever for bodybuilding. I know Pumping Iron's a bodybuilding movie. It's not necessarily about weight training and Predator and stuff, but I found that was probably the best-selling feature for bodybuilding for me as a kid. When I saw Predator, I was like, my God, that guy could take on a monster. That's why I want to be a bodybuilder, right? It was pretty neat. Opulence luxury. Jason, I tried some of your dance moves last week. Thanks, bro. The girls love it. It's hilarious. Now I know you're trolling. No. Gary Duarte. Jason, how do you feel about motivational videos? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean by motivational videos? Do you mean like motivational videos, like people just trying to give you motivation, or what do you mean by motivational videos? Gary? Yeah, I'll wait for your response on that one. Crime Steam, what type of coffee do I drink for a pre-workout? I usually drink like mocha from Starbucks, or there's a couple coffee shops. There's this place called Muddy Waters right close to my house. It's got the greatest espresso. I really love that stuff. It tastes great. New Predator in 2017, French Bastard. Wow, I didn't know that. Oh, that's going to be good. Okay, I'm waiting. The voice of reason is saying, do you think that fasted cardio makes a difference in fat loss, or is doing cardio later in the day just as effective? You know, there's a bunch of studies out on this stuff right now, and some studies are contradicting other ones. I really don't have an opinion on it, honestly. I think whenever you can get the cardio in is probably going to be the best. That's probably going to be the best thing, because when you can get the cardio in, that is going to be more of a benefit than you not doing it because you can't get it in at the right time. So I think sometimes people try to overanalyze stuff, but I would just try it. Honestly, I would just try fasted cardio for a while and see. I think that there's something to be said for just getting something out of the way right away as soon as you wake up. That's the first thing on your mind, and it may set the stage for the rest of the day. Okay, so because that will set the stage of motivation for the rest of the day, maybe that would work for you. But yeah, I've done bodybuilding shows on fasted cardio and then some bodybuilding shows without fasted cardio, and I don't know if I really noticed a difference, to tell you the truth. Crimestein, thoughts on Eckhart Tolle? He's great. He's really good. It's the basis of the work that I do. Oh, motivational speakers. Gary Duarte, motivational. I don't know. I mean, I think there are motivational speakers that are great. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's nothing wrong with gaining motivation from people. I don't think there's anything wrong for you in gaining some sort of inspiration. I mean, I think everything is a motivational speaker, really. If you really knew how to look, you'd see everything in your life as a motivational speaker. You know, there's some amazing things going on around you at all times, you know. The person next door has a story probably that is so inspiring, they just don't know how to tell it. So I think a motivational speaker sometimes can highlight those challenges that are met by human beings on a day-to-day basis and help you understand where you are also doing the same and how to do it again if you need to. So I think if you're seeing a motivational speaker and it's assisting you with seeing your life from a more positive, happier point of view, then yeah, I'm all for it. Why not? Yeah. Do I think that just telling yourself happy thoughts in any one circumstance is going to get rid of your problems? No, but that's not really what motivational speaking is about. I think motivational speaking would be about assisting you with seeing something from a point of view that will assist you with finding your own happiness and passion in any one moment, no matter what's going on, right? Gary, you know, one day, who knows, maybe I'll be doing that. Maybe I'll be helping people with motivational speaking, but you never know. You never know. I think there's many ways to heal the world, many ways that people can help other people. I'm all for any of it, really. It is good feelings. I don't think we have enough good feelings in the world, and I think that's why there's so many people going to drugs and all this. And I think that if more people made their income and made their way of life around helping other people or making them feel better, making other people feel better, I think we'd probably have a much better world to live in, you know? Yeah, laughter is unbelievable. Crocodile, you're right. Laughter's awesome. Okay. Okay, Crocodile, how many meals a day do I eat? I eat about 4 or 5 meals a day, Crocodile. That's what I do. Yeah. Right now, actually, just so you guys know, I'm experimenting with my diet again, because I always do that. Like, I'll eat lower fat for a while, like I'll eat brown rice and yams and carbs and stuff and protein, but now I've went to more of a higher fat, higher protein, and lower carb for a while now. So I'm going to try this out for a bit because it seems like it's the right thing for my body at this point. So I always change my diet around. So I find with eating fats and protein, it seems to help stabilize my blood sugar more so than with carbs and stuff, even if I eat lower glycemic carbs. It just seems to be the way my body works, right? So I think I have a better energy level for my training in the gym when I eat more fat and protein as opposed to a lot of carbs. And yeah, I'll still have some starch here and there. Every 2 or 3 days I'll have a meal of starch, but I find that yeah, I'm going to do this now for now anyway, just for fun and see how my body responds. It seems like it's responding quite well, really quickly. So we'll see how this goes. Okay, Crimestein, when doing barbell curls for biceps, I noticed my forearms were pumping more than the bicep itself. Is that normal? Yes, it is. Barbell curls, I find a lot of times barbell curls are not necessarily the best exercise for overall bicep development because the forearms or the brachialis, right, comes in quite a bit, okay? So that's why I do incline dumbbell curls or curls where the arms are externally rotated a little bit. This really helps. So if you have good shoulders, anyway, don't do this if you have bad shoulders, but if you have good shoulders, you know, like not injured shoulders, then yeah, externally rotating a bit really helps the biceps get hit. How often do I change my diet? I change my diet once every couple months, probably. I start to change it around a little bit. You know, you start to get a feel for things, kind of like doing too much heavy weights. I know when I do too much heavy weight, I can feel when my body needs to go to lower weight or lighter weight. And, or I can feel when I'm doing too much lighter weight, when it comes to my training, I can feel when I need to go a little bit heavier. It's almost like pumping up a balloon. I can feel when my muscles are not getting pumped or something, you know, there's something missing. So, the same way I make decisions about my diet. Sometimes I can feel like my diet is not giving me something that I need, and or I'm getting too much of something. You know, I feel like my energy levels are up and down all the time. Then I need to change my diet around to support proper energy levels so I can get better workouts in. So sometimes if I notice my energy level's not there for my workouts, I'll look at my diet first and foremost in a lot of cases. Yeah. The Nimble Navigator, hammer curls or regular curls. You can actually do both external rotated, to tell you the truth. You can actually do hammer curl or, you know, supinated curl, right? Supinated, okay? You could do both, but yeah, you'll notice supinated curl, you'll hit more of the brachii, right? A hammer curl, you see, as soon as I do this, hammer curl, you'll hit more of this. But I'm all for trying different angles. Just see which one works best for you, but I like the supinated. Ashley Davies. Hi Jason, I've been hitting plateaus in my training. I've been varying up the rep ranges, increase the frequency of my training, and lower the volume. Do you have anything that you do to overcome plateaus? I'm assuming that's what the next word would be. I have a video on this, overcoming plateaus. And sometimes overcoming a plateau has to do with more than your training. Sometimes it has to do with what's going on outside your training, like I just talked about. Sometimes it has to do with your diet. Sometimes it has to do with your lifestyle choices. You know, I knew guys that would go get hammered at the bar 2 or 3 days a week and then go to the gym and then complain about hitting a plateau. But, you know, part of their life was totally associated with something that was destroying their gains. And then they're saying, well, geez, you know, is there something wrong with my training? No, there was nothing wrong with their training. There was something wrong with what they were doing when they weren't training. That was the problem. So I think more often than not, that's actually a bigger problem for most people, is the priority. Now, that said, assuming you're not getting hammered or doing all these other things that are destructive to your training and your recovery, then sometimes changing your exercise or thinking outside the box is good. Changing the range of motion, changing the types of exercise you do, because sometimes you'll notice that you got kind of stuck in one way of thinking, like you only do squats for legs, or you only do bench press for chest, or you only, you know, sometimes changing those things up really helps, because sometimes if you get stronger at another angle, then that other angle helps you get stronger at the first angle. And that can sometimes relate to gains at some point. So that's one thing to do. Another thing is take a break. That's also sometimes what you need to do too. If you take a break from the gym, perhaps you're just burned out, maybe. You know, that's a possibility. The other thing is, okay, let me think of one other thing to help with. You know, okay, also this is the other thing. I think that as a natural bodybuilder, a lot of people have unrealistic expectations, and that's actually killing them. So instead of them looking at how the training is going well, they're always looking at how their training should constantly be improving, constantly, and that's just not the way training has ever went for me. I noticed that I would make improvements and then plateau for long periods of time, and then make improvements, then plateau for long periods of time. It's almost like the body was getting recalibrated to this new set point of muscle mass. And sometimes that is something that you have to consider, and you have to just weather that storm and keep training and keep working out, keep dieting, you know, as far as eating your proper nutrition, and keep sleeping, keep taking care of your health. And then at some point, okay, just one second, I gotta get rid of something here. And then at some point, from doing that, you will start to make gains again. And sometimes it's really confusing, because sometimes you're like, wow, why am I making gains right now? Like for months, I wasn't making any gains, but now all of a sudden, bang, out of nowhere, some body part starts to come up. And you're like, what happened? Consistency. It's almost like planting seeds in a farm field, you know? You're planting seeds, and at some point, boom, the sprouts come up. But before that, all you're doing is constantly watering the soil and pulling weeds and whatever, and then one day, then the sprouts come up. But it seemed like months and months of work had to go in before that happened. So you have to be patient. Natural bodybuilding isn't about a quick fix and isn't about instantaneous result. It's about when you consistently stimulate an area, at some point, you will grow, right? Terry Bush, yeah, I think YouTube is giving people unrealistic visions of body gains, because the thing is, they're looking at my physique and saying, oh, I want that in 3 months. But I've been training for 30 years, and it took me about 10 years to get to where, basically my peak physique was about 10 years. 10 to 15 years was peak. But that's still 10 to 15 years of training hard. And my priority was training. It wasn't about me going to do a construction job for 15 hours a day and then training and, handling a lot of different pressures and stuff. I really was focused. So a lot of people were like, now they're looking at somebody on the internet and they're saying, oh, okay, I'll just do this program and within 2 months I'm going to be looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It just doesn't happen like that. Gary Duarte, what's my favorite food? Ice cream. I love ice cream. Gary Duarte, beef stew is pretty good too, though. Yeah, I do like beef stew. I don't have it that much, but I do like that. Okay. Ryan, if the gym has canceled your membership and you're too poor to pay for it, what's the best home chest workout would you recommend? Well, I don't know. Do you have dumbbells? It depends what you have at home. Like, what do you have at home? Do you have dumbbells? Do you have a bench press like I have, or do you have somewhere where you can hang gymnastics rings from the roof? Because that's a pretty wicked chest workout. I mean, if you have gymnastics rings, you could do dips on the gymnastics rings. That's pretty darn good for lower chest for sure, 100%, and good for stabilizing the shoulders. At Murph's gym, I'm playing around with the rings a little bit. I'm just starting to. I have a real unstable shoulder here, so I gotta be careful with it. But I'm going to basically do more of those movements with the rings because they're really great for hitting the chest. Hey, Easy as a guy, how are you doing, buddy? Yeah. Okay, so if a person just has dumbbells and they've got kicked out of the gym, well, you can do a lot of dumbbells at home just laying on the floor, kind of like some YouTubers out there do. You just put the dumbbells on pillows and then do the partial reps, right? Elbows to the floor and come up, and you can get some really wicked chest development from that. So there's nothing wrong with that. You don't even need a fancy bench or anything. If you have the dumbbells, you can actually just lay on the floor off the pillows and do them, right? Would you prefer lifting straps or lifting grips like Versa grips? I've never used Versa grips, so I'd have to say lifting straps. I've used them when I do bent over rows, when I do heavier weight, or Romanian deadlifts. I like lifting straps. Yeah, P. Harold, home equipment is expensive. Yeah, it is. But if you get dumbbells, sometimes on Craigslist or something, you can get dumbbells for pretty cheap, because a lot of times people buy dumbbells, but then they don't use them, and then they'll get rid of them for pennies on the dollar, right? So I think that you could find some pretty cheap equipment out there on Craigslist. So look online. You'll find somebody's trying to get rid of it at a garage sale or something. Il Santo Padre, every set to failure? Well, most sets, but some days you're going to be feeling it, some days you're not. I say most sets to failure, but when you get into super heavyweight, like 5 reps, 6 reps, then I would not recommend failure on every set then, because then it gets a little dangerous. Yeah, Gary Duarte saying no belts, no straps, no pain, no gain. Yeah, straps aren't about avoiding pain, Gary. When I have straps, I use them because I want my back to hit failure. So if I can do 10 reps with a weight when I'm not using straps because my grip fails, and then I can get 30 reps with that same weight because I have wraps on, then my back actually gets hit really hard and I get a better back workout. So that's why, yeah. Bad screen name, I have adjustable dumbbells from 5 to 50 pounds. Yeah, you could do a pretty good whole body workout with that. For a lot of people you could, once you get into bigger muscles and bigger weights and stuff, then you need more weight, obviously, when it comes down to, especially the legs and stuff. 50-pound dumbbells are good for walking lunges and things. But yeah, unfortunately, there are going to be some limitations for working out at home. Like I made that home workout video a while ago. There are some limitations, right? you know, you can't use as much weight with the big weights like squats and stuff, and that does help the overall body grow. But you can get a pretty good workout. So then you can just pay a drop in at a gym here and there and get the big main workouts in, and then do the other assistance work at home, right? Oh, well, okay. Well, I guess I'm done for today. So thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and make sure you check out the video I just posted last night. You'll get to take a look at actually everything around my town and stuff, and see the beach and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty nice out here. So I'll try to include quite a bit of footage of the area out here, because I think it'll be more interesting background than just the gym footage all the time. So yeah, so hopefully you guys got something from this video and stuff, and thanks a lot, and share my stuff. Okay?